7 years of marriage, destroyed in a moment. My wife lied to my face, cheated with another man, and somehow blamed me for her betrayal. But when her affair fell apart, she came crawling back. Do you think I took her back? Listen to the full story, a raw, real journey through heartbreak, betrayal, and finally freedom. Hey Reddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I never thought I'd be that guy airing his dirty laundry here, but I don't even know what else to do anymore. My mind's a mess, my heart feels like it's been stomped on, and I guess I'm hoping that putting it all down here will help me make some kind of sense of it. I've been married to my wife, Lauren, for almost 7 years. We met in college, started dating a year after we met, and I swear, she used to be the sweetest person I knew. Smart, sarcastic in the fun way, driven, and honestly, stunning. I fell hard and fast. We had the typical early love story, late-night road trips, shared Spotify playlists, inside jokes. All that stuff. I'm not gonna pretend we were perfect. We had our ups and downs like anyone. She had a short temper sometimes, and I tend to shut down during arguments, which never helped things. But overall, we had what I thought was a solid marriage. Until about 6 months ago. That's when things started to shift. It started small. A little more time on her phone. A few more girls' nights. That didn't used to be so frequent. She started locking her phone, which she'd never done before. I didn't think much of it at first. We both work a lot, she's in marketing, I run a small home renovation business, so I figured maybe we were just a little disconnected. But then she stopped making eye contact. Started getting snappy over the smallest things. I'd ask if she wanted to do something on the weekend, and she'd roll her eyes and tell me I was being clingy, or too much. Still, I chalked it up to stress. Her company had been going through layoffs, and I thought maybe she was worried about her job. I should have listened to my gut. I remember the exact moment I realized something was really wrong. I was standing at the kitchen sink one evening, just doing the dishes, and she came in wearing this red blouse I hadn't seen before. Makeup done, hair curled. She looked amazing, honestly. But when I asked where she was going, she just shrugged and said, "Out with Cassie and Mags." 2 of her work friends. Something about the way she said it didn't sit right with me. Like she'd rehearsed the answer. And when I kissed her goodbye, she turned her cheek instead of meeting my lips. It wasn't the first time that happened lately. I stared at the sink for a while after she left. The dishes were still soaking in soap, but my hands were frozen in the water. That tiny moment, her brushing me off like that, hit me like a brick. I couldn't explain why, but I knew deep down that something wasn't right. And that, unfortunately, was just the beginning. After that night, I started paying more attention. I'm not proud of it, but I started doing what I guess you'd call low-key snooping. Nothing crazy at first. Just noticing when she'd leave the house, how long she'd be gone, if her stories matched up. That kind of thing. A few days later, she said she was going out with the girls again. So I casually asked, "Oh yeah? Where are you all headed?" And she goes, "That wine bar downtown, Vine and Oak." Here's the thing. My buddy Sam bartends there on weekends. So later that night, I sent him a quick text asking if he'd seen Lauren and her friends come in. His reply? "Haven't seen her tonight, man. Just the usual crowd." I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in my hand, heart hammering like a drum. I stared at that message for what felt like an hour. I didn't want to believe it, so I convinced myself Sam probably just missed her. Maybe she was at a table he didn't notice. Denial is a hell of a drug. But then the lies started stacking. She'd come home with excuses that didn't make sense. One night, she said Cassie had a flat tire and they had to wait 2 hours for a tow truck. Another night, she claimed they went to a bar that I know Cassie hates. It just didn't line up. Then I found the receipt. It was in the trash can in our bathroom. Not even hidden. It was from a restaurant in the next city over, El Sol, a romantic little Mexican place we'd gone to once for our anniversary. The date on the receipt? Same night as her flat tire story. 2 entrees. 2 drinks. Dessert. A bill for $112.46. And a name scribbled at the top. "Thanks, Lauren." Dan. Who the hell was Dan? That was when the paranoia kicked in full force. I felt like I was living with a stranger. I didn't eat much for a few days. Didn't sleep. Every time she'd get a text, I'd feel this spike of nausea in my gut. One night, I finally asked her directly. I tried to stay calm. "Hey, who's Dan?" She froze. I swear, I watched her face glitch. Just for a second. Then she laughed, and said, "Oh my God, are you seriously going through the trash now? That was a work dinner, babe. Dan's one of the regional managers. Chill out." She even rolled her eyes, like I was the crazy one. The gaslighting was so casual, so seamless, that I almost apologized. Almost. But something inside me was waking up. And it wasn't going to sleep again. I decided then and there, I needed proof. Real proof. Not trash receipts and bad vibes. I needed something undeniable. And unfortunately, I got it. So after the Dan receipt incident, I made up my mind, I was going to find out the truth, one way or another. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who snoops through his wife's phone, but at that point, I honestly didn't care how it made me look. I was tired of being lied to. I was tired of waking up in the middle of the night and staring at the ceiling wondering if I was losing my damn mind. Lauren was careless. She always kept her phone password protected, but she'd been using the same 4-digit code for years. I took my chance one morning when she went to take a shower and left her phone on the dresser. I hesitated for a second. My hands were literally shaking. But I entered the passcode and it opened. I wish it hadn't. First thing I did was open her text messages. Not much there, just chats with coworkers, her sister, the usual. But when I checked her photos, that's when my stomach dropped. There were pictures of her in that red blouse from a few weeks ago, not at a girl's night. She was in a hotel room mirror, posing like she was on a damn Tinder profile. There was one of her holding a glass of wine, with a man's hand, definitely not mine, on her thigh. Then I found the hidden album. Yeah. She'd hidden the real stuff. There were screenshots of messages from some guy named Danyar. Long, flirty messages. Voice notes. One picture of them in bed together. I stared at that one for a long time. She was smiling, no makeup, sheets pulled up to her chest. He was next to her, shirtless, taking the selfie. And she looked happy. Really happy. Like she hadn't looked with me in months. My vision went tunnel. I could hear her singing in the shower just a room away while I stood there, looking at the digital graveyard of my marriage. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to myself. Then I set the phone down exactly where I'd found it, walked out of the room, and sat on the couch. I couldn't even cry at first. I felt frozen. Like I'd just been hit by a truck but my body hadn't processed the pain yet. I just sat there, staring at the wall, listening to her hum some stupid Dua Lipa song in the shower. That was the moment I knew it was real. It wasn't in my head. I wasn't overreacting. She was cheating on me, emotionally, physically, and with a level of disrespect I couldn't even wrap my head around. She came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, kissed my forehead like nothing happened, and said, "Can you make coffee today? I'm running late." And just like that, I realized she'd been playing me for a fool. But she didn't know yet that I knew. That wouldn't last long. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just lay there, next to her, wide awake, while she snored softly like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't carrying on a whole second life behind my back. Every time she moved, every time her leg brushed mine, I felt sick. I knew I had to confront her. But I didn't want to do it half-cocked, yelling and making a scene. I wanted her to see what she'd done. I wanted her to sit with it. So the next evening, I asked her if she'd have dinner with me at home, just the two of us. I told her I missed spending time together, and that I wanted to reconnect. She gave me this lazy smile and said, "Ah, look at you being all sweet." Like I was the one who needed to step up. So I cooked. Set the table. Even poured her a glass of wine, because I wanted her relaxed. Comfortable. I waited until she was halfway through her plate before I pulled my phone out of my pocket and set it on the table. She looked up from her food, confused. "What's that?" I opened the photos. I didn't say anything. Just turned the screen toward her and tapped the first image. Her face changed instantly. The color drained out of it. She looked at the screen like it was a ticking bomb. Then, she had the nerve to try and play dumb. "What is this?" she said, voice all shaky. "You tell me," I said. "Because I recognize the hotel room. And I definitely recognize that's not me in the bed with you." Silence. For a solid 10 seconds she just stared. Then she pushed her chair back and stood up like she was going to leave the table. I told her to sit down. And that's when it started, the lies. She went into full-on damage control mode. "Okay, it's not what you think. I was drunk, it was a mistake. It only happened once." I just laughed. I actually laughed. "Once? Really? Because I've got about 20 messages and half a dozen photos that say otherwise." Then she got mad. "What were you doing snooping through my phone? That's a violation of my privacy." I couldn't believe it. She actually tried to turn it around on me. Like I was the one in the wrong. I stood up, leaned across the table, and said, "You've been lying to me for months. Don't you dare act like you're the victim." She crossed her arms and sneered. "Well, maybe if you actually paid attention to me, I wouldn't have had to look somewhere else." That line. That one line, that was the moment I stopped feeling anything for her. I don't know what switched off inside me, but it was like someone flipped a breaker and everything just went dark. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there while she threw excuse after excuse at me. First it was, "He didn't mean anything." Then it was, "It just happened." Then, get this, she tried. We were on a break emotionally. She was scrambling. Desperate. I think she knew she had nothing left to stand on. I told her I wanted her out of the house by the weekend. She blinked at me like I'd slapped her. Wait, you're kicking me out? Damn right, I said. This is my house. My name's on the mortgage. You made your bed. Go lie in it. Preferably at the El Sol Inn with Dan. She started crying. Or pretending to. I honestly couldn't tell anymore. I walked past her, grabbed her keys off the counter, and tossed them on the table. Start packing. Then I went into the bedroom, closed the door, and finally let myself fall apart. She didn't leave that night. Of course she didn't. Lauren slept on the couch. Or at least pretended to. I could hear her shuffling around at 3 a.m., probably texting her little side piece or Googling how to fix your marriage after cheating and lying through your teeth. I didn't speak to her the next day. Didn't even look at her. I went to work, came home, went straight to the bedroom. I kept it cold, quiet, and distant. I was numb. And when I say numb, I don't mean the dramatic kind you see in movies. I mean I'd be brushing my teeth and suddenly realize I was just staring into the mirror, not even moving, with the toothbrush dry in my hand. The betrayal hit me like layers. First layer was disbelief. Like, did this really happen? Did she really do this to me? Then came the shame. I felt stupid. Like I'd been the only one in the room who didn't know the joke. Like every person who ever met us probably saw it coming except me. Next came the sadness. Deep, raw sadness that would punch me in the gut when I least expected it. Listening to music on the way to work, seeing her shampoo bottle in the shower, walking past our wedding photo in the hallway. That one hit especially hard. We looked so damn happy in that picture. So sure. She tried to talk to me once on the second day. She knocked on the bedroom door and came in without waiting. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through messages from my brother, who had already invited me to crash on his couch if I needed. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. Her voice was soft, but her eyes didn't look sorry. They looked tired. Like she was the one going through something hard. I didn't say anything. I felt neglected, she continued. Like I wasn't being seen anymore. Dan made me feel alive again. I know that sounds selfish, but... I cut her off. It is selfish. You know what people do when they feel neglected in a relationship? They talk to their spouse. They don't screw someone in a hotel 3 towns over and lie about it for months. She didn't have an answer for that. I told her again, out by the weekend. That was the deal. She sniffled and nodded and left the room. That night I sat on the porch with a beer in my hand and my dog at my feet. I stared up at the stars and wondered how the hell my life unraveled so fast. 1 month ago, I thought I was just a husband trying to reconnect with his wife. Now I was a man standing in the ashes of a marriage he didn't even see burning. But beneath all the hurt, I also felt something else starting to take root. Clarity. I realized I was done letting someone treat me like I was disposable. I wasn't going to cling to a life built on lies just because I was scared of starting over. She had her chance. She buried it with every lie she told. By Saturday morning, she still hadn't packed. Her excuse? I don't know where to go. Not my problem. I reminded her that she had a mother, a sister, and, let's not forget, Dan, who seemed pretty damn accommodating from the looks of the hotel room selfies. She just glared at me like I was the one who betrayed her. I texted my brother to give him a heads up that I might need a place for a few days. His exact words were, "Dude, what the actual F***? Come by whenever. Bring beer." That helped a little. Just knowing someone was on my side. Then I started the process of telling people. Not in some dramatic public announcement way, just the inner circle. My brother, obviously. My parents. A few close friends who'd been around since the early days of Lauren and me. Their reactions were all variations of shock and anger. The weird part? A few people weren't all that surprised. One of her old coworkers messaged me privately on Facebook after I made a vague post about betrayal and starting over. He said, "Hey man. I always got weird vibes from her when we worked together. I didn't say anything back then because I didn't want to stir things up. But damn. Sorry you're going through this. Weird vibes. Weird vibes." Makes you wonder how many other people noticed what I didn't. The final straw came Sunday morning. She came into the kitchen while I was drinking coffee and said, "Ben doesn't want me to stay with him. He thinks I should sort things out on my own. So I'm staying here until I figure it out." I laughed. Not a normal laugh. One of those hollow, sarcastic laughs that feels more like an exhale from the soul. "Of course he doesn't want you there," I said. "He got what he wanted. You were never his future. Just his little secret." That hit her. I could tell. She stormed off, slammed the bedroom door, and 10 minutes later, I heard drawers opening and bags being packed. She left that afternoon. No hug. No apology. Just one last look from the doorway, half bitter, half sad, and then she was gone. I thought I'd feel relief. But what I felt was grief. Heavy, bitter grief for a version of my life that no longer existed. The woman I married didn't leave. She'd been gone for months. The one who walked out with a suitcase. That was just the ghost she left behind. The house was so quiet after she left. Too quiet. No high heels clicking down the hallway. No blow dryer going off at 7 a.m. No half-finished cups of tea left on the counter. You'd think I'd be glad for the silence, but I wasn't. It was deafening. I found myself doing weird things. Like checking her side of the bed in the morning. Out of habit. Folding her towel in the bathroom. Looking over at the passenger seat while I was driving and momentarily expecting her to be there. Complaining about traffic or humming along to the radio. It's embarrassing how long it took my brain to catch up to reality. One night I opened the fridge and saw her favorite yogurt, the one I always bought for her without even thinking. I just stood there staring at it for a full minute. Then I grabbed it and threw it in the trash like it had personally offended me. I know it sounds dumb. But that's grief. It's not loud crying and movie-style breakdowns all the time. Sometimes it's chucking a container of strawberry Greek yogurt across the kitchen because your wife chose another man over you. And then came the nights. God, the nights were the worst. I'd lie in bed and just spiral. Replaying conversations from the past. Trying to figure out when she changed. Was it after that business trip last October? Was it that time she stayed late for drinks with the team? And came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine? I questioned everything. Every smile. Every compliment. Every I love you. Was she already thinking about him? Was she comparing me to him? Was she lying while looking me right in the eyes? The rage would hit in waves. Sometimes I'd clench my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. Other times, I'd cry in the shower like a damn cliché. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront Dan. I wanted to text her something cruel. Something that would cut. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I stayed still. Because deep down, I knew if I engaged, if I threw punches, if I begged for closure, I'd be giving her more of me. And she'd already taken enough. So I started writing everything down. In a notes app, of all things. Just little thoughts. Memories. Frustrations. I figured if I didn't get this poison out of me, it would rot me from the inside. I was unraveling, but something in me was also waking up. Like a man pulling himself out of a wreckage, coughing up smoke and looking around at the damage. This was the low point. I knew that. But I also knew one thing clearly. I never wanted to be this broken again. About a week after Lauren left, I decided I needed to get out of the house. I was sick of the silence. Sick of pacing from room to room like a ghost. So I took my brother up on his offer and crashed at his place for a weekend. Just me, him, his dog, and an ungodly amount of junk food and bad Netflix choices. Honestly, it helped. A lot more than I thought it would. We didn't talk about her the first night. Just drank beer, watched trash TV, and made dumb jokes. It felt good to laugh again, even if it was just at a terrible cooking show and his mutt trying to eat my sock. But the next night, after a few drinks, he finally asked the question. Are you done with her for good? I stared at my bottle for a long time before I answered. Yeah. I am. I think I was done the second she said I drove her to it. And I meant it. No hesitation. That weekend was the turning point. I started hitting the gym again. Eating real food. Sleeping more than 4 hours a night. I even cleaned out the house, boxed up all her stuff and left it on her mom's porch with a note that just said, "Take what you want. I'm keeping the silence." But just as I was starting to breathe again, she came back. Not to stay. God, no. But to poke around. Like she suddenly realized she didn't like the bed she made and wanted to see if I'd let her crawl back under the covers. It started with a text. Hey. I left my leather jacket in the hallway closet. Can I come get it? I didn't reply. Then another 2 days later. Just wondering how you're doing. I miss talking to you. I stared at that one for a while. Not because I believed it, but because it made me angry. She missed talking to me? Like I was a coworker she drifted apart from, not the husband she betrayed and humiliated. I still didn't respond. Then she called me. I let it ring out. Straight to voicemail. 5 minutes later, another message. I know I messed up. But maybe we could talk? Even just as friends? I've been doing a lot of thinking. Yeah, I bet you have. Probably right around the time Dan stopped texting back. I didn't reply to that one either. But it messed with my head more than I'd like to admit. I kept rereading her words, wondering if there was some twisted version of the story where we could go back. But then I remembered the hotel photos. The lies. The way she blamed me the night I caught her. And just like that, the fog cleared. She didn't want to fix things. She just didn't want to sit in the wreckage alone. And I wasn't about to let her drag me back into it. A week went by after that last message. I thought maybe she'd finally gotten the hint. I was wrong. I came home late one night, covered in drywall dust and dead tired, and saw her car parked in front of my house. Not in the driveway. On the street. Like she was trying to pretend it was a coincidence. I walked up to the front door, and there she was. Sitting on the porch steps like she used to back when we were dating. Legs crossed, coffee in her hands, eyes puffy like she'd been crying. "Hey," she said softly. Like we were just picking up where we left off. I didn't say anything. Just unlocked the door and went inside. She stood and followed me in without asking. "You shouldn't be here," I finally said. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't have the energy. But my tone was flat. Cold. She hovered near the kitchen island, twisting her hands like a teenager waiting to be scolded. "I just needed to see you," she said. "I feel like you've shut me out completely." "Because I have." That stunned her. I don't think she expected me to be so blunt. "I made a mistake," she said quickly, like if she blurted it fast enough, it wouldn't sting. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I was confused." I cut her off. "Lauren, stop." She blinked. "What? You didn't trip and fall into bed with him. You planned it." Repeatedly. "And then you lied to me every single day afterward." She opened her mouth like she was going to argue, but I wasn't finished. "You lied with a straight face. You kissed me knowing where your mouth had just been. You came home from seeing him and acted like nothing happened. That's not confusion. That's cruel." Her eyes welled up. "I didn't care. You don't get to come back here and cry on my porch like you're some heartbroken victim," I said. "You torched this house, Lauren. I just finally walked out of the fire," she whispered. I miss you. I don't know who I am without you." That hit me. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because I finally saw the truth behind it. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me who would still put up with her lies. The version who made her coffee in the morning and fixed the leak under her sink. The version who made her feel stable while she ran off chasing excitement with someone else. I shook my head. "I think it's time you figured that out on your own." She stared at me for a long time, then nodded. No tears now. Just something hollow in her expression, like she finally realized I wasn't bluffing. She walked to the door slowly, then turned back one last time. "I guess this really is over. It was over the second you chose him," I said. Then I closed the door behind her. And locked it. The morning after I told Lauren to leave, for real this time, I expected to feel some kind of triumph. A final victory over all the pain she'd put me through. But instead I just felt tired. I walked through the house like a man waking up after a war. Everything looked the same, but it wasn't. Her scent still lingered faintly in the closet. Her coffee mug was still on the shelf. And for some reason, that made me angrier than anything else. I packed the last of her stuff in a box and left it outside on the porch. She never came to get it. That was the real end. So I focused on rebuilding. Not just my routine, myself. I started going for morning runs again. I reconnected with a few friends I hadn't seen in years. I even joined a local woodworking class, just to get out of the house and keep my hands busy. Turns out there's something really calming about carving something new out of a raw, broken piece of wood. Felt kind of poetic, honestly. Things were looking up. Until she reached out. No, not Lauren. Dan's wife. Yeah. That's right. Dan, the guy Lauren had the affair with, was married too. Her name's Emily. She messaged me on Facebook one night, said she found my name in some of the texts between Dan and Lauren. She asked if I'd be willing to talk. Just compare notes. I hesitated. At first, I didn't want to open that wound again. But curiosity got the better of me. So I agreed. We met for coffee at a quiet little place across town. I didn't know what to expect, but I sure didn't expect her. She was calm. Collected. Wore no ring. "I filed for divorce 3 weeks ago," she said first thing. "He still doesn't know I read everything." Turns out Dan had been cheating for years. Lauren was just one of many. Emily showed me screenshots, different women, different states, same patterns. He traveled a lot for work, and used that freedom to build little fantasy lives wherever he went. We sat there for 2 hours, trading stories. Some of hers were so similar to mine it gave me chills. The lies. The gaslighting. The charm that masked everything underneath. By the end of it, she looked at me and said, "I don't know if this helps either of us move on. But it's good to know I wasn't crazy." And you know what? That did help. A lot more than I expected. We exchanged numbers. Not romantically, just in case either of us needed to vent. And strangely, it was the most honest, emotionally clean conversation I'd had in months. It reminded me that I wasn't the only one navigating wreckage. It reminded me that closure doesn't come in one dramatic moment. It comes in little bits, sometimes over coffee with a stranger who understands more than your closest friends ever could. Things were finally settling into some kind of normal. I was rebuilding my life, keeping busy, and slowly learning how to be okay with being alone. Meeting Emily had been unexpected, but it gave me perspective, and honestly, a weird sense of peace. Then Lauren showed up again. One Friday evening, just as I was pulling into the driveway after work, I saw her car parked in the spot next to mine. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone she might come back, but there she was, leaning against the door, arms crossed, looking like she was both nervous and pissed off. I walked up to her, trying to keep my voice steady. "What are you doing here?" She looked at me, eyes flickering between anger and desperation. "We need to talk. For real this time." I wasn't sure if I wanted to listen, but I nodded. Inside I was screaming, but outside I just said, "Okay. Let's talk." We went inside. I sat on the couch. She paced the room like she was rehearsing her lines. Finally she stopped and said, "I want to fix things. I know I screwed up beyond belief, but I'm sorry. I've been going to therapy. I'm trying to figure out why I did what I did. And I want to try for us." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw every photo and message I found at her and tell her to never darken my door again. But instead I just looked at her, tired and raw. "Lauren, you broke something in me that might never fully heal. I don't know if I can trust you again. I don't even know if I want to." Her face crumpled. "Please, just one chance." I stood up. "I'm not the man you married anymore. Maybe I never really was." She swallowed hard, then nodded. "I understand." She left that night. For good, I hope. After Lauren left that night, a strange kind of calm settled over me. Not peace exactly, more like acceptance. I realized that healing isn't about forgetting or pretending the pain never happened. It's about facing it head on, day after day, and choosing to keep moving forward anyway. I started seeing a therapist. Not because I thought I was broken beyond repair, but because I needed someone to help me sort through the tangled mess of anger, grief, and confusion. Talking openly about what I'd been through, without fear of judgment, was a revelation. I learned that my feelings were valid. That it wasn't my fault. That the betrayal didn't define me. Slowly, I began trusting myself again, my instincts, my worth, my capacity to love and be loved. I also reconnected with old friends I drifted from during the marriage's rough patches. Their support reminded me that I wasn't alone, that life could still hold laughter and joy. Most importantly, I learned the hard way that trust is a gift, and sometimes the hardest part of loving someone is knowing when to walk away. Looking back, this whole nightmare taught me more than I ever wanted to know about love, trust, and self-respect. Here's what I tell anyone going through something similar. Trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. I spent too long convincing myself I was overreacting. That hesitation cost me months of my life. Don't tolerate lies. Betrayal is brutal, but the constant lying is what really breaks you down. You deserve honesty even when it hurts. You're not alone. It's easy to feel isolated, but reach out to friends, family, or even strangers online who get it. Talking helps more than you think. Self-care isn't selfish. When you're hurting, do things that make you feel human again. For me, it was running, woodworking, and binge-watching bad TV. Find your thing. Healing takes time. There's no quick fix or magic moment. Some days will suck. Some days will feel hopeful. Both are okay. Know your worth. Don't settle for less than respect and loyalty. If someone can't give you that, it's their loss, not yours. It's been about 8 months since Lauren left for good. I won't lie, some days still sting. Certain songs, places, even smells can drag me right back to those dark moments. But I'm learning to live with that. What's different now is how I see myself, and what I want from life. I've started dating again, not seriously, just meeting new people and rediscovering what it feels like to be seen and appreciated. It's scary but also kind of exciting. Most importantly, I'm finally at peace with the fact that sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes people change, or reveal who they really are, and no amount of wishing can fix that. So to anyone reading this who's been blindsided by betrayal or feels like their world is crumbling, you will survive. You will rebuild. And one day, you'll look back and see how far you've come. You're stronger than you think. Thanks for reading. If you've been through something similar or have advice, I'm all ears. Before I sign off, I just want to say this. Cheating is a gut-wrenching betrayal, but it doesn't have to define your future. The pain you feel right now? It's real, it's raw, and it's valid. But it's also temporary. Don't be afraid to seek help, whether it's therapy, trusted friends, or support groups. You deserve to heal fully and honestly. Also, forgive yourself for any mistakes you think you made. Relationships are messy, and hindsight is 20/20. What matters is how you move forward. Finally, remember this, your worth isn't tied to someone else's actions. You are whole on your own. I'm still figuring out my path, but sharing my story here has helped me more than I expected. If you're going through this, feel free to reach out. Sometimes, knowing someone else gets it is the first step toward healing. Stay strong, Reddit.